We have the seeds for men's freestyle just a couple days before action gets started at Las Vegas at the US Open. Men's freestyle. It's going down Friday and Saturday. You can watch everything live on FloWrestling. We're going to get into all the seeds, the potential champions, some of the contenders, some dark horses, and most importantly, those potential quarters and semifinal matchups we could be looking at for every single weight class, starting at 57 kilograms, where Penn State true freshman Luke Lillidahl is the unsurprising top seed at 57 kilograms. On down the line, you see 2 seed Daniel DeShazer, Liam Cronin, Brandon Courtney, Dom Munaredo. I don't know if he's actually going to be wrestling senior, but he's listed there because he did register at Senior Open. I think he's just doing U20s. Brief aside. You've got Sheldon Seymour from Lehigh. You've got Caleb Smith, Nico Provo rounding out that top 8. Now, as you look at this bracket, who are the top contenders? Well, I think Luke Lillidahl, honestly, is one of the bigger favorites in any of the men's freestyle field. If you look at his accolades to being a multiple age level medalist and look at his run that he had last year at the Olympic team trials, really no one else is left other than Spencer Lee, who's already sitting out the final X. So potential early match, Luke Lillidahl could see Provo, and then for his semifinal match, either Brandon Courtney or Dom Munaredo. If not Munaredo, I think we'll see Sheldon Seymour slide up. So it could be a rematch for Luke Lillidahl where he takes on Sheldon Seymour from Lehigh. Down below, Daniel DeShazer. He'll have Caleb Smith. That's a sneaky quarterfinal for Daniel DeShazer. He's super experienced, been on the scene a long time. Caleb Smith, a little younger, just finished his college career, now looking to make a name for himself in freestyle. Don't be surprised if Caleb Smith pulls that upset there. And then you look at Liam Cronin versus Sheldon Seymour or Caleb Smith if they do end up sliding there. Those are really tough quarterfinals as well. So it looks like Luke Lillidahl versus Daniel DeShazer, maybe Liam Cronin, maybe someone like a Brandon Courtney would probably be my guess. I think it's Courtney versus Lillidahl. That would be my guess. If you're looking for someone outside of Luke to say, hey, this guy could win it, for me, it's probably Brandon Courtney. But that said, Luke Lillidahl, a very big favorite. Now we go to 61 kilograms, and this weight is so deep. And I'll actually start with the 8 seed, national champion. A guy that's been on the scene for a long time, done a lot of winning, Nathan Tomasello. That shows you just how deep this weight is. But starting at the top, number 1, Marcus Blaze. Number 2, Dayton Fix. Number 3, Nishawn Garrett. Number 4, Seth Gross. The 2, 3, and 4 seeds have all made senior level world teams. 5 seed, Austin DeSantos. 6, Jax Forrest. 7, Nico Megaludis. And I already mentioned 8 seeded Nathan Tomasello. So the 8 versus 1, that's Marcus Blaze versus Nato. The 7 versus 2 is Dayton Fix versus Nico Megaludis. It's a Nico looked great last year in freestyle. You know, this is a guy where you're not sure if he was still competing, but every time this guy shows up to a tournament, he's very tough to beat. A big test early for Dayton Fix. Nishawn Garrett would likely take on Jax Forrest in a match that is bound to have no less than 15 points on the board. Both guys score and score and score. I think Jax, that's a pretty tough matchup for Jax. But with all the flurries and the parterre ability of Jax Forrest, you can't count him out, even against someone as good as Nishawn Garrett. And then that last quarter, Seth Gross versus Austin DeSanto. We just saw that one at FloWrestling Night in America. Seth kind of controlled it. Can he do that again against Austin DeSanto? And then the potential semifinal action, Seth Gross versus Marcus Blaze would be a crazy one. We saw it last year at the World Team Trials in Omaha, and Seth had this one in control. It looked like he was going to win it. And a late takedown and turn for Marcus Blaze put this one, swung this as a win for him. Marcus Blaze has wins over the 2, 3, and 4 seed. Unbelievable how good this kid is. Dayton Fix will likely take on Nishawn Garrett, or it could be Jax Forrest. Dayton needs to beat Nico Megaludis to do it, but I think we'll see that match. Nishawn's beaten Dayton Fix before. Dayton's going to have his defense really working for him, keeping his head in the way. Those powerful double legs from Nishawn Garrett, his ability to score in bunches is really fantastic. I mean, this is a guy that gave Vito Arujau one of the toughest tests he had in the year Vito was a world champion. So you can't just pencil Dayton Fix into that final with not Nishawn Garrett looming. But I think it is going to be Marcus Blaze making that final, and he is my pick to win this weight class, although I think even though he's beaten the 2, 3, and 4, him taking a loss would not be a surprise or even a disappointment. The guy is still just a high schooler, as is Jax Forrest. He's just that far ahead of his time. 65 kilograms. Read through those seeds here. Joey McKenna. Sorry, I'm scrolling a little bit here so I can read them. Joey McKenna is the top seed here, the seasoned vet. Then you got Jesse Mendez, Bo Bartlett, Real Woods, Aiden Valencia, Josh Coderhunt, Carter Young, Vince Cornella. Now, one thing, I mean, my eyes, I want to go through the quarters, but first thing I was thinking, I was like, are we going to see Jesse Mendez versus Bo Bartlett again? I mean, these guys have been wrestling, feels like once a month for the last couple of seasons. Now, we haven't seen them wrestle in freestyle that I can recall in the recent future. I think it's been a little bit, but of course we've seen them wrestle in folk style many times over, and excited to see this one in freestyle. Of course, they went back and forth this year. Bo won the duel and at Big Tens. Jesse got him by the narrowest of margins at the NCAA tournament. Now we could see that as a semifinal. But let me back up. The quarterfinal matches. Cornella versus McKenna. This is our first look at Cowboy Joey McKenna, who made the move from Penn RTC to Oklahoma State, versus Vince Cornella. He'll be a big favorite there. Jesse Mendez versus Carter Young. Carter Young back in 2021 had a crazy run where he went through Tyler Graff, Nashawn Garrett, and Seth Gross, trying to capitalize or recapture that magic on the freestyle map. But he's going to be a big underdog to Jesse Mendez. Bo Bartlett taking on Josh Coderhunt. I haven't watched much of Coderhunt in freestyle. Excited to see how he looks. And then Real Woods versus Aiden Valencia. If you're looking for a darker horse to win this bracket, to make a final, to me, it's Real Woods. I think Real Woods is a great candidate to not just make the semis, but I think he could make the finals, and would love to see a potential rematch between he and Jesse Mendez. They wrestled not this NCAA season, but the one prior, and it was Jesse that had the upper hand there, but seems like Real is a lot healthier and wrestling really well. Excited to see how he can do in that matchup. But I think if you're looking at this one on paper, Jesse Mendez is probably the favorite most people would pick. So going to be some great early round matches there with those quarterfinals. As we go to 70 kilograms, top seeded. It seems like he's been top seeded this tournament. I don't know, since 2015. James Green, 2 seed, back on the mat. Yanni Diakomahalis, Alec Pantaleo, Will Luan, Yaya Thomas, Bryce Andonian, Daniel Cardenas, and Doug Zaff. A lot of contenders here. Of course, the most proven guys are our top 2 seeds. James Green's made how many teams at this point? Brought home a couple of medals. Yanni Diakomahalis been at 65 kilograms traditionally. Now testing the waters up at 70. Hopefully we see a healthy Yanni Diakomahalis here. These quarterfinal matches, Green's going to be a big favorite against Doug Zaff. Yanni versus Daniel Cardenas. Cardenas from Stanford, really tough guy. He was off the NCAA scene this year, was redshirting. Excited to see the gains he's made over the last couple of years. Very positional, hard guy to score on, good athlete, but I'm not sure he's ready for all the savvy and the skill that Yanni brings to the table. Alec Pantaleo, Bryce Andonian. Bryce has got to try to open up a guy that's really tough to open up. Alec Pantaleo, super hard guy to score on, very low to the ground, really quick. Bryce Andonian, though, he's a high flyer. He's not going to hold back. And Bryce Andonian in freestyle is, I think, a match made in heaven for his high flying style. And then moving on, Will Luan versus Yaya Thomas. Yaya is definitely someone that could make some waves here. Very good at freestyle. Been training out in New Jersey. Very good positionally. Hard double legs, quick reattacks. Yaya Thomas has a style very well catered to freestyle. Yanni is the big question mark, but I think he would be my pick if I were to make a prediction, just because he has the edge over James Green. They've wrestled in the past and Yanni had won. However, this is up at James's preferred weight, the weight he's pretty much owned domestically since 2015. And we haven't seen Yanni on the mat. So for that reason, maybe James Green is the favorite. I'm not sure who's going to win this one, but I know this is going to be an incredible weight. Lots of depth here. And we could see some surprises because you have the X factor of James Green. He had a really tough world championships where it seemed like something physically went on and he wasn't really able to wrestle like we've seen James Green wrestle. And Yanni's been off the mat for a long time. He's up at a new weight. He could look a little bit different. So if you're looking for a surprise champion, I think you could see one at 70 kilograms. And now at 74 kilograms, I think that's, of the finals, it's the one I'm most confident in predicting who's going to make it. And looking at the seeds here, David Carr, Mitchell Messenbrink, Quincy Monday, Jarrett J. Hughes, Peyton Hall, Terrell Barraclaw, Elroy Perkin, and Ed Scott. Now, I think that David Carr and Mitchell Messenbrink are on a collision course for the finals. But let's get to the quarters first and work our way to those championship finals here. And a reminder, if you win here, if you win the U.S. Open, you are automatically going to Final X. So it is a huge, huge step in the process of making the World Team. If you don't win here, you got to go to the World Team Trials and win in order to punch your ticket, with the exception of 57 and 61. For those two weights, this is your only shot. So a brief little Final X Team USA explainer there. As we move on with 74, David Carr versus Ed Scott. Carr's a huge favorite. He just beat an Olympic silver medalist. He's the real deal. Very obviously, Mitchell Messenbrink versus Elroy Perkin, another big favorite there for Mitchell. Quincy versus Terrell Bearclaw. I'm excited to see this one. Terrell Bearclaw wrestling a little bit of freestyle. We saw what he could do in folk style. What's he going to bring to the table now that he's transitioning to the freestyle portion of his career? But Quincy Monday is really tough and very seasoned in freestyle wrestling. And then you got Jared JQ's Peyton Hall. Peyton Hall is someone we haven't seen on the freestyle match a ton. He's wrestled in some U23s and things like that. How can he do? I think he has a great chance to knock off someone like Jared JQ's. Although JQ's last year was a standout performer, knocked off Vincenzo Joseph. I think he split with Quincy Monday. Jared JQ's not someone you can sleep on out of Missouri. And then those semis, Carr, you would have to say he's probably going to see Hall or JQ's. Carr's a big favorite there. And then Mitchell Messenbrink versus Quincy Monday. Last time these two hit, it was a 12-1 tech for Mitchell Messenbrink, who has this crazy style, unbelievable pace, a lot of attacks. And he's going to need a lot of attacks and a lot of points to take out David Carr. I think Carr is a significance a strong word, but he's a sizable favorite here against Mitchell Messenbrink. I think with his, I think stylistically it's a good matchup for David. And I think also just what he's been able to prove overseas makes him a really solid favorite at 74. Though Mitchell Messenbrink is a U20 world champion. He cannot be counted out. And then we go to 79, a weight that's been the weight of Jordan Burroughs and Kyle Dake and Chance Marsteller. And now it's looking for the next person to carry on that torch. And it's a lot of guys that don't have a lot of senior level experience. And looking at these seeds, Evan Wick, Dean Hamady, Kennedy Monday, Danny Bronigal, Carson Hartzler, Simon Ruiz, Mo McBride, and Clayton Whiting. Muhammad McBride and Clayton Whiting. Now, looking at these seeds, I feel like you could have done these a lot of different directions. Evan Wick, probably the most proven guy. But if you're looking for a favorite, it's tough to say, yeah, for sure, this is the guy to beat. Could it be Dean Hamady coming off NCAA tournament? Maybe. I think you've seen in the past guys ride the momentum of a strong NCAA season or ride the momentum of just that hard NCAA training. And it sometimes can pay dividends at tournaments like the Open or Trials or even Final X. So don't sleep on Dean Hamady. Even though he hasn't been on the freestyle mat a ton recently, don't sleep on him potentially winning the U.S. Open. And same for Kennedy Monday, who I've been saying has the best point scoring ability at this weight class. His ability to shoot doubles and singles, and he's just got a lot of ways to score good go-behinds. He's confident upper body. The question for Kennedy is, can he keep guys off his legs? Can he prevent those big scores? Can he hold on to matches late? If he can do that, he's going to be really, really tough to beat. So looking at these potential quarters, Wick versus Whiting, Muhammad McBride versus Dean Hamady. I mean, McBride's been on the scene a long time. That's a tough guy to score on for Dean Hamady. We'll get a good picture of where Dean's at in that match. Kennedy Monday versus Simon Ruiz, who had a great NCAA tournament for Cornell. Excited to see what he can do freestyle-wise. And then you've got Danny Bronigal versus Carson Hartzler. Those guys wrestled 2 or 3 times this collegiate season. Now they're going to potentially wrestle in freestyle. So looking forward to that one. I think Wick is a likely semifinalist. I think Carson Hartzler is a great candidate if you're looking for a surprise semi or finalist. I think he could do it. My pick might be Dean Hamady in this weight class. I like the idea of him riding that momentum. I mentioned it already. I think he's got great leg attacks for this. His counter scoring is really solid. And I think he could potentially pose more problems for some of these freestylers. So going to be a really fun weight, and a weight where Team USA is going to be looking for someone new to contribute very real production. So a lot of eyes on 79 kilograms for that reason. As we move up to 86, this is the weight. This is the one everyone's talking about. Kyle Dake says, I'm not going up one. I'm going up 2 weights to 86 kilograms. I don't care if Zahid's there or Chance's there or anyone else. I'm going 86. And so he obviously earns the 1 seed. The guy's a multiple world champion, 2-time Olympic bronze medalist. And now he's trying to make his first team at 86 kilograms. Zahid, the 2 seed. Chance Marsteller, Parker Keckeisen, Rocco Welsh, Marcus Coleman, Braden Thompson, Dylan Fishback rounds out a loaded bracket at 86 kilograms where, we'll see Dake versus Fishback, Braden Thompson versus Zahid Valencia. Those are pretty much walkthroughs for guys that good. Chance Marsteller versus Marcus Coleman. Marcus can score, but Chance is a really tough guy to score on. You favor him and his experience. And then Parker Keckeisen versus Rocco Welsh. Everyone's excited to see what Parker can do on the freestyle mat. We saw him dazzle in folk style the last couple seasons. What can he do in freestyle? I think he's going to be pretty freaking good. I'd expect him to beat Rocco Welsh. And that means we get to see Parker Keckeisen versus Kyle Dake. That's a fire matchup. Very excited for that one. Zahid Valencia versus Chance Marsteller. Marsteller's got to make some serious adjustments. Zahid teched him last time. And then it's very likely maybe the most locked in finals. If you could say this one's guaranteed to happen, it's probably Zahid versus Kyle Dake. With Zahid, he's bigger, maybe quicker, probably quicker, more ways to score. But the savviness of Kyle Dake, the defense, the chest wrap, the ability, when this guy gets to legs, he scores at a high percentage of the time. When he gets to upper body position, they're his positions. So that's what's going to make this match so fascinating. I think we're going to see it. I think it's one of the top matches to watch in international wrestling this year, Kyle Dake versus Zahid Valencia. And I think we're going to see it on Saturday at the U.S. Open. Cannot wait for that one. Moving on up, 3 weights to go, 92 kilograms. Trent Hidlay going to be a big favorite here in this one, I believe. 2 seed Mike Mock, 3 Aiden Sinclair, 4 Eric Schultz, 5 seed Dustin Plott, 6 Cam Caffey, 7 Seth Shumate, and 8 Gavin Nelson. Excited to see Gavin, who's going to be in the Minnesota lineup next year at 197. He's a big recruit for the Gophers. So it'll be Trent versus Gavin. Trent's a big favorite there. Mike Mock versus Shumate. Again, the higher seeded guy likely to walk through. Aiden Sinclair, Cam Caffey. That one's more of a toss-up in my mind, but I would go with Aiden. I believe he's beaten him already. And then Eric Schultz versus Dustin Plott. Getting to see Plott not down at 86, actually all the way up at 92 kilograms. Schultz probably a little more seasoned, probably the favorite there, although Plott, very good freestyler as well. He's not just a folk style specialist, that's for sure. But looking at this one, I think we're going to see Trent Hidlay put himself in great position to make his first senior world team. He's made age level world teams throughout the years, but this is his best chance, I think, to make a senior team. I think he's going to do it, and I think he wins this bracket, 92 kilograms. As we move on to 97, this is probably the biggest lock of the U.S. Open. It's Kyle Snyder, your top seed. 2nd seed, Jay Aiello. 3rd seed, Masoma Indine. Gary Traub down at 97. I'm just now noticing that. Wow. 5th seed, Gavin Hoffman. 6th seed, Ethan Laird. Christian Knopp and Makai Smith rounding out the top 8 seeds there. Snyder, I already mentioned it. He's a huge favorite. But the guy for me I'm most excited to watch is Masoma Indine. This guy is a 3-time D3 champ. He just announced he's transferring to Iowa. He made the U23 world team. Now he's wrestling at the senior level. How can Indine fare against this field, the senior level field at 97 kilograms? Can he knock off a Jay Aiello? Can he beat an Ethan Laird, who was a great wrestler for Ryder, now training for Maryland? Excited to see what Indine can do. But other than that, it's going to be how good Kyle Snyder looks. I mean, the separation he's had, the stranglehold he's had on 97 is just insane over the years, and I don't expect it to change this year either. And then we got 1 weight to go, 125 kilograms, top seed, Hayden Zillmer, Wyatt Hendrickson, Trent Hilger, Nick Feldman, Jordan Wood, Christian Lance, Lucas Stoddard, and Demetrius Thomas. Now, probably a similar story here. All eyes are going to be on Wyatt Hendrickson, the man who knocked off Gable Steveson. Can he follow it up at the U.S. Open with the U.S. Open title? He's been really solid in freestyle. He's made U23 world teams. He's brought home U23 medals. We saw him in 2023, the year Mason Paris won a world medal. Wyatt Hendrickson gave him fits at the World Team Trials, almost beating him, gutted him like crazy, got some takedowns. Wyatt's the real deal in freestyle. He's not just a folk style specialist. And I think he's probably on paper the favorite to win this weight class. But Hayden Zilmer, he's the one guy who can say, hey, I've made a senior level world team. I've been there. It was 2022 where he made the senior world team, shocking everyone when he beat Nick Wisdowski. And certainly he probably thinks he can do that again. And so those potential early matchups, Demetrius Thomas, Hayden Zilmer, Wyatt Hendrickson, Lucas Stoddard, Christian Lance versus Trent Hilger, and Nick Feldman versus Jordan Wood. I'm excited to watch Feldman. This guy has had a lot of success in freestyle. How does he look at 125? I think freestyle is his best style. The mat is not his friend necessarily in folk style wrestling, but on his feet, he can go with just about anyone. So curious to see what a match for him and Jordan Wood, who's a big 125, whereas Feldman's a little smaller. And then could Feldman potentially challenge someone as good as Hayden Zilmer? But the story for me is Wyatt Hendrickson ready to prove, hey, I'm ready to represent Team USA at the senior level? Can I, capitalize on what I just did at the NCAA tournament? Is that just, can I ride that wave of momentum? I think that's what we're going to see. I'm not counting out Hayden Zilmer. I'm not counting out the Feldmans or the Jordan Woods. But at the end of it all, when you factor in the momentum of great wrestling and the skill set and the power and complete package, I think it's Wyatt Hendrickson's tournament to lose. I really do. And so that's it. That is the entire pre-seeds. Of course, these are subject to change up till weigh-ins. And at that point, they'll be locked in. But they rarely change very much, if at all. And so you can expect these are probably going to be the seeds here. And this is a huge step in the process. As I already mentioned, you've got a trip to Final X on the line. That's how Team USA decides who represents America in Croatia at the World Championships this September. Gets started at the US Open. Action starts Friday, live from Las Vegas. I'll be there. Come say hey if you're in the arena. Can't wait to watch some wrestling with you. Give me some of your picks, some of your hot takes, some of your predictions, dark horses, whatever you want to call it. I want to hear from you what you think about the US Open this year.